When I was but a wee child, I was very much into anime. Like, whatever that was airing on the local networks, I'd probably watch it. That's how I discovered anime like Sayugi, Great Teacher Onizuka, that one anime with the teacher that I completely forgot. But even before then, my dad was really into Dragon Balls, and before moving houses and staying at the house where I spent like about 4 to 5 years of my childhood, Dragon Ball Z was basically the only anime I knew. And then there came Dragon Ball GT, and tiny, adorable me would pick up some of the language here and there. Like, I could introduce myself in Japanese, but that's about it. Nowadays, I probably could understand a bit, but like, that's the extent of my weeb knowledge. So, um, probably around my third or fourth grade, I was around 10 years old. I was wondering what anime that I could watch because I was just channel surfing with my siblings, and then while channel surfing, it landed on ABS-CBN, which was like channel 2 on the local television channel frequencies thing. And what was airing at the time was Naruto. And I didn't start Naruto then. I landed right in the middle of the Chunin exam arc, and I could still remember that episode very vividly because that was the first time I saw an anime character with pink hair. Like, who does that? Who has pink hair? I've seen black hair, I've seen blondes, I've seen brown hair, but pink hair? Oh, that's a first. So I stuck around because at that moment I was fascinated, and I had no idea what the girl's name back then, and then her name was Sakura and she had pink hair. Like, who the hell thought of this? That's actually incredible. Like, she's named after the thing. That's so cute. That's so adorable. I liked it. And of course, since it's right in the middle of the arc, I have no fucking context. What the hell is going on? So, just by watching, like, in that moment, I was like fascinated immediately. And that episode was when after Sasuke woke up with the curse mark, and then of course Sakura uh was exhausted, sleep deprived, and just took a fucking beating from three genin, but actually they might have been Chunin level kind of genin. And she just took a beating. Like, one dude was punching her in the face while she was biting his arm, and then Sasuke woke up, and then he beat the shit out of the three sound genin, and I was so hooked. Like, I had no context what the hell happened before, but in that moment, I started to like Naruto. And I didn't know that the main character was Naruto. I didn't. Whenever I would swap back and forth on that channel. For some reason, I wouldn't catch when it'll go on a commercial break or when the commercial break is over. I wouldn't see the title card, so I didn't know that Naruto was the main character. I thought Sasuke was the main character. And that was fucking hilarious because when ABS-CBN started to air it back from episode 1, I was like, oh, so that's what Naruto is about. Because at that moment, I was annoyed with Naruto. I didn't like Naruto. Why the fuck is he a loudmouth? And he's so annoying. And then when the first episode aired, it's like, what? What? Like, a switch has been flipped in my brain because I was a very eccentric child at the tender age of 10. Like, I was a target of bullies. I didn't know I was autistic, probably. All I knew was that for some reason people thought it was fun to make fun of me. And then when I saw Naruto episode 1, it's like, holy shit, my entire worldview changed. I actually like Naruto. I could relate to him a lot. He's a marginalized child who had no idea why the hell everyone else is mean to him. But at least he eventually found out why everyone was mean to him. And of course, I tried to keep up with the series because I'd go home from school at around 5 p.m. at the best because my parents would have to pick me up from where I went to school because it was a private school and children aren't allowed to leave on their own. Like, there are school service thingies, school shuttle thingies that would take kids to their home and fro. Like, I wish I had that so that I wouldn't have to wait for my parents to pick me up. But yeah, I tried to keep up with Naruto even with my limited time and access to television. This was in 2004, like early 2000s. There was just a single computer at home, and my dad would have to buy a card just so we'd have internet access. And of course, whenever someone's using the phone, no one can use the internet. And eventually, when we moved houses, internet access slowly became more reliable, but of course, it's still limited every month. And it was also still difficult to keep up with Naruto. But it wasn't until I was in high school, sometime around 2007 onwards, that internet access was a lot better. Like, we didn't have to buy dial-up cards anymore. But internet was still fucking slow. Like, at best, we'd get like 10 Mbps. Like, that was the fastest internet back in the day. And of course, I got introduced to a lot of morally dubious sites just so I could keep up with Naruto. And then there's One Piece and Bleach. I kept up with them too, but at some point I lost track of One Piece and I never picked it up ever since. Bleach, however, I really liked it. Like, it's a very stylish anime. But like, it just wasn't hitting me the same way Naruto did. Like, the action scenes and the character designs. Basically, it was very pretty to look at, but I'm not as invested as I was like in Naruto, because Naruto wasn't just like an underdog coming up to the top, whatever. It was also about a kid that's marginalized and oppressed by the system and the people around him, and it isn't until he proves himself that everyone starts to acknowledge him. And of course, as an assigned female at birth person, as a queer person back in the early to mid 2000s, and eventually getting multiple devices at home that's able to access the internet, primarily second-handed laptops that my dad's boss just gave to him. Like, my dad's boss was such a fucking dude, man. Like, there's a bunch of junk or old laptops from his home. He's actually Japanese, which is kind of funny. But like, he got those laptops and then he just gave them to my dad, and then my dad just gave one second-hand laptop each for each child, so that's 4 extra laptops. And by then, that's how I was able to get into morally dubious ways of watching the anime and reading the manga. And that's also how I got introduced to fanfiction. Like, for the first few days, or I suppose first few months, I tried to find like ways to keep up with Naruto, and there were times that there were hiatuses with the manga, so I have to somehow find a way to entertain myself while waiting for updates. That's how I found fanfiction. Baby's first fanfiction site, of course, would be none other than fanfiction.net. Besides Naruto, of course, I got into other fandoms like Star Wars, Soul Eater, Bleach. Well, okay, that's what I could think at the top of my head. But basically, I got very much into fanfiction. Be coming from an evangelical Christian denomination, but let's just cut it short. My parents are Jehovah's Witnesses, okay? They raised me and my siblings in the religion I am born in as a Jehovah's Witness. Like, I legitimately believed in it until I was around 20 years old. So, of course, you get the usual gay people bad, queer people bad. The world is made up of fake Christians, something things like that. So of course, Naruto being Naruto, where he has a quote unquote demon fox inside his tummy, so that means it's bad in the eyes of Jehovah's Witnesses. So of course my parents hated it. But I loved it because I didn't care if he had a demon in his belly. I cared that Naruto was marginalized and I could see myself in him. I loved him, okay? He was my boy. He's my sunshine. He's my baby. Anyway, I'm getting emotional. So I got into fan fiction. And my parents are Jehovah's Witnesses. How are these connected? Well, at some point I discovered yaoi. Like the when I first saw my first yaoi, I was confused. Why are they two boys? Why are they kissing each other? Are boys allowed to kiss each other? That's bad because that's what my religion taught me. That boys kissing boys is bad and girls kissing girls is bad. And people shouldn't change their gender. They should stick with whatever they're born with. Even if, like, some of the health classes I had already discussed things like intersex people or people who had um, different sets of genitalia, or like there are people who are XY, XXY, like the different genetic combinations or whatever. I forgot the exact term. But back then, I was initially disgusted, horrified, terrified that I saw fictional boys kissing each other. But the story was just so good, I could ignore it. I could set myself aside and pretend that the other person in the equation is a girl. And somehow that slowly turned into looking for explicitly gay fanfiction. It's kind of funny because once I saw art of boys kissing boys, it's like my whole mind expanded. Like, my neurons were probably firing off at each other that this is actually really good. Like, it doesn't matter if boys are kissing boys, because if it's good, then it's okay. Like, I was seriously justifying reading yaoi and BL to myself for a long time. Well, not exactly a long time, it's just for a couple of months. So, schools in the Philippines usually start around June and end sometime around March or April. So, that would be April, May, June. So, that I had 3 months to come to terms with the fact that I like BL. But besides slowly accepting that queerness is okay, I already knew of queer people. Like, in the high school I went to, also private school. Private school doesn't mean shit nowadays, but like, I would have to admit that my family was like middle class in the right term back in that point in time. But yeah, in the school I went to, there were upperclassmen that were openly queer, and sometimes I'd talk to them and they'd tell me stories of their home life that their parents didn't accept them at first. And at best, in their moment, at best, at their current point in lives, like their parents or family just tolerate them. Like they don't address the elephant in the room. They just want to make sure that they finish school and get a good job, and that's it. But they tell me that their parents would like make passive aggressive remarks at best about their sexuality or queer identity, and at worst, of course, things could get physical, and there are occasions that I'd see them going to school hiding injuries. So, from what reality is telling me versus what the doctrine was teaching, wasn't matching up. So, in Jehovah's Witness doctrine, public talks, the higher ups would make it look like that queerness is acceptable outside of the Jehovah's Witness community or circle, whatever. But me having eyes and the brain to think with, reality and doctrine wasn't matching up. But for some reason, I still believed that doctrine was somehow right, even if reality was saying another thing. Um, there are occasions where I'd get angry while attending meetings because whenever they're doing like the homophobic public talks or the anti-queer public talks and local needs, I'd get pissed, and I'd start wondering to myself, hey, why am I getting angry? Why am I angry that queer phobia, homophobia, transphobia, etc., is queer phobia, homophobia, etc., is thought as correct. Like, I've been taught at a young age that everything that's said in Kingdom Halls, everything that elders say, everything that whatever the writing department is saying is the right way, even if reality is saying that that's not right, that queer people are marginalized outside of the bubble Jehovah's Witnesses created for themselves. So that just kept on simmering in the background. So with things like gay fanfiction, of course I started writing because that's like a great way to express myself. Like I wanted to express myself, I wanted to share stories, I wanted to explore scenarios. So whenever I'd get a review back in in the good old pit of balls, I'd get really happy because it's either constructive criticism or people just validating whatever thought that percolated in my brain. And that was something I did not get from my parents, and if I did, it was very rare. That's Asian parenting for you. Eventually, my mother found out that I was drawing, writing, and reading gay stuff, and she burned a lot of my art back then. She burnt my sketchbooks. She burnt a lot of the fan fiction and fan art that I printed so that I could copy them in my sketchbooks. And I did resent her for a long time after that, but also the other thing, which is doctrine taught at a young age, was saying that was the right thing to do, even if it hurts, especially if it hurts. And it did hurt a lot. Like I had to live with my mother who burned my things for ever since. And of course, I didn't really learn anything from it in the Jehovah's Witnesses terms. what it did teach me is I should get better at hiding my interests, that I should get better at hiding my drawings. Like, the drawing thing, because my dad bought the How to Draw manga book, the blue one, made by the high school student girl, and I've been using it a lot. And of course, I just learned how to hide my interests, make sure that if I'm drawing anything that anyone could see or find at any time, that it's neutral at best. It's mostly um just drawing people at a single pose for a long time, or just drawing faces, because that's the only thing I knew how to draw. Afterwards, of course, I graduated high school. I lost contact with a lot of my friends then, and then I got into college. Then I got into Magic the Gathering, because how could I not get into Magic the Gathering? I'm a fucking nerd, man. I like Yu-Gi-Oh as a concept, but the game, I didn't really like it. Magic the Gathering had excellent mechanics on resource management, deploying your creatures, whatever, etc. And the first set that I saw released was Innistrad, and it was like tailor made for me. Me, a closeted goth queer. I like vampires. But I hated Twilight because it was not the vampire I want. That's not my fucking vampire. I hate sparkly vampires. Vampires are supposed to be scary, sexy, seductive, dark. Like like Gary Oldman's Dracula or Christopher Lee's Dracula. Or I forgot her name, that hot chick in Underworld. Those were my vampires. That's the kind of vampire I'm down with. So Innistrad was released, and holy shit, I when I saw Soren Markov in the previous set, I think it was the Court 2012 set. I was in love, man. Like white-haired vampire. Holy shit, that's my boy. That's my man. I did. His backstory at that time wasn't fully explored. Like, he was still shrouded in mystery. No one knew anything about him other than he was a vampire from a plane called Innistrad, and then Innistrad was released, and then his lore dropped, and he's like an awesome ancient vampire god who made an angel to protect humanity. Not to like protect humanity forever, to eradicate all the dark forces in his plane, but just to protect humanity enough so that none of the races that live in his plane go extinct. Like, humanity is just barely fighting back so that they don't die out, which will in turn cause all the vampires and the werewolves to die out. Which is kind of fucked thinking about it. Like, he had to think of a way to balance the ecosystem so that it Innistrad won't be a post-apocalyptic landscape. But anyway, Innistrad, it was the gothiest plane in all of Magic at the time. So, of course, I started buying Magic cards. And it's like I didn't learn the first lesson. My parents found my Magic cards, and guess what they burnt next? Anyway, that happened, and honestly, I think at that point I was just fucking exhausted. Like, whatever, man. I just made sure that my most expensive card, that um I just made sure that my most expensive card is somewhere else, and I never got it back, which is sad. And anyway, I after my parents burnt my Magic cards, somehow I still believed. I still thought that the JW doctrine was the right way. Jesus. So, I still believed for a while. I think I was around 17, 18 years old when that happened, by the way, in the Philippines, when I was younger, high school students, a lot of them graduated at 16 and then should be in college by then. So imagine picking your course in life at the age of 16. That was fucking horrible. But anyway, it was already my second year of college, and my parents just burnt like 10,000 pesos worth of magic cards. But I still believed in the JW doctrine. And for about a good 2, 3 more years, I was basically going back and forth studying and hiding whatever uh, thing that interests me. Eventually, I did start buying magic cards again, but I just made sure that they're hidden somewhere my parents can't find. And it wasn't until I was 21 years old that I had a fight with my mother. And I don't really remember what happened in that fight. That's around more than 10 to 11 years from now. And in that fight, I just remember thinking to myself that I'll never be happy as a Jehovah's Witness. That as long as I stay in this religion, I'll continue to be this content. I'll be um lacking in motivation, I guess, because I did try to become devout. Like I became an auxiliary pioneer for 3, 4 years, but whenever I'd go out in field service or do return visits, all I could think of is, I wish I was home. I don't want to be here. I'm just fighting with people in their front doors, trying to convince them that the JW doctrine is the correct doctrine. But besides that fight with my mother, I guess that's the hay that broke the camel's back. Like, that was my breaking point because there were other things that were just building up that is slowly pulling me away from the doctrine, that's making me believe in it less and less. Like, one of the big factors that led me to stop believing would be the death of the person who studied me. Like, she had been studying me ever since I was like 14 years old, and she is the congregation coordinator's wife, and my parents basically asked her to study me and my siblings until we were baptized and continue encouraging us to become more active in the congregation and in field service. And when she died, all I could think of myself in the first few weeks after her death was that paradise wasn't real. That there was no hope after death. That after death, it's just nothing. Like, that's all that I could think of. That paradise couldn't possibly be real. Then, if it is real, why the hell are we here then? Why couldn't just God just basically zap us up into after? Like, it doesn't make sense. Why would he want to see people to suffer? Like, even if it's just a test to prove that Satan governing the world isn't the right way, like, isn't it cruel to make people suffer just to prove a point? Like, what are you trying to say here? Like, I couldn't, I could not accept it. I could not imagine a world where there is a higher being with power who could end all suffering all at once, right now. Nothing that will bite anyone back in the ass. And then he's okay with people living through pain. He's okay with people knowing what's it like to lose someone. Like, the sister that studied me had her own other problems, but at that point in time, to me, she's like another parent. Like, she's someone I loved and cherished. And then God's okay, Jehovah's okay, that she dies? That she died in pain? Like, what kind of God is that? That did not compute with me. I could not accept it. But I still believed. Even after her death, I still believed. Even if I was already thinking that paradise isn't real, I still believed. Because there has to be a reason, right? I mean, as far as I know, Jehovah's Witnesses were like the most accurate Christian religion out there. So I still believed. And that happened for like a good one more year. Until, of course, like I said earlier, my mother and I had a horrible fight where my brain just snapped. Like, it was my breaking point, and my brain just reset itself and said, being Jehovah's Witness is just not worth it. I need to leave. I need to find a way out. I just need to escape because staying Jehovah's Witness just guarantees my suffering. And then I got into a rabbit hole that I wasn't alone, that there were other people that eventually stopped believing that whatever the Watchtower was teaching about Jehovah's Witnesses that leave, none of it were true. Like, people or like former members would leave because they want to sin or they want something that only the world could offer. But like me, a lot of them had crises of faith that the doctrine was just not matching up with reality. And so, I got into a rabbit hole of not believing. I got into a lot of XJW sites back then. I joined the XJW Reddit. I would talk to other creators that were XJW, and they'd give me advice, resources of or ways to help me find the way out. And I really did appreciate it. Like, one of the first people I talked to is a big name XJW creator that I will not mention for his actions. If you know, you know who exactly I'm talking about. But yeah, at that time, I really appreciated it because I felt alone. I felt like I didn't have anyone, not even my siblings. All of them continued to believe in the doctrine. Of course, my parents were very heartbroken that I've chosen to stop believing. And of course, even those few early emails with XJW creators that helped me feel a lot less alone. That I'm not the only one going through this, that I'm not the only one who just had their entire world crumbling at my feet. So, for a while, after that crisis of faith, my sister found out, and of course, she told our parents. We had a really, really big fight. Like, it was so bad, man. Like, I don't know what was it that pushed my parents, but in that moment, they chose me over the religion. Oh God. So, in that moment, like, that was the first time that I sort of felt like that there was more to them over the doctrine. Because if my parents did not choose me in that moment, I don't think I'd be here now. And of course, after that, they'd have to continue to choose me after. Because I really felt at that point that not there really was no point after. Because for a long time, my world after that, there was nothing. There was nothing anymore. Like, nothing was worth it anymore. But somehow they chose me, and they really appreciate it. Mm. Because it never felt like that anyone would have chosen me. And oh god. Oh god, I don't know how audible my pain is, but yeah, it really is painful. Not gonna lie. But yeah, at least I had that. At least they weren't so far gone as to let me leave. Because if I left, I don't think another day would have come after that. They didn't kick me out. But we had a deal that by the next year, if I'm ready to live on my own, they'll let me go. Funny how that works. Whenever I find a place to rent or to live in or to move, or when I started making plans moving out, they really did not like it at all. It's kind of funny. Like, I'd hear stories of other XJWs who'd had their parents kick them out the moment they started questioning, or the moment they stopped believing, or whenever they'd come out of the closet, their parents would kick them out. But my parents refused to let me leave. Like, what the hell, man? I thought I was just going to be another statistic in the XJW community of young XJWs kicked out by their family for refusing to follow orders, whatever. So yeah, that's that. They refused to kick me out, and then I discovered I was disabled. I had chronic illness. So even if they kick me out, and even if I want to see another day coming, there's no other choice but to stay. Oh god. And of course, as the years passed by, they continued to encourage me to return to the faith, to start believing again. Like, I had the fucking branch member visit me in my home. I had the Philippine branch member visit me at home just to assuage or to strengthen my faith. But, like, I was far gone, man. Like, the moment I stopped believing, I just stopped believing. I was queer by Jehovah's Witness definition. That means I'm an abomination in Jehovah's eye. Like, what the hell, man? And even then, even if I do start becoming active again in the congregation, I could not reconcile the fact that public talks are really hateful towards queer folks, and I, as a queer person, would continue to be considered as an other, as something inhuman in the eyes of God. So, of course, I don't really remember how that conversation ended, but I do remember that agreeing that we're just gonna keep quiet about it. Like, whenever I get a part in ministerial school, I'd make sure to include something that I'd find at XJW sites. Of course, my father noticed. He was an elder. Probably all the other elders noticed, because at that point, I may have talked to a pommy. I talked to a pommy dude who, because I felt alone, and I talked to him and I told him all about my lack of belief, and he told the elders, so which is why I had the branch member visiting me. I stopped having parts in ministerial school because, of course, no one would want apostate material going to the official platform of where Jehovah's Witnesses learn how to convert people to the cult. And I stopped having parts. I got a job. Whenever I want to move out, my parents would find ways to keep me from moving out. I tried moving to my mother's relatives that weren't Jehovah's Witnesses, and you know what they did? They guilt tripped the fuck out of me because my aunt was disabled. She had a heart disease, and at some point in her life, her doctors were like, her illness was terminal, and if I moved to her house, where she had other she had her other sisters or my other aunts living with her, so that they could take care of her. If I moved in with them, I'd be another mouth to feed. I'd be another person to take care of, and is that how I want my aunt to live out her life? Do I want to be a burden to her? So of course I stayed with my parents because, man, I don't want to be another burden to my aunt who, as far as I, like, at that point in my life, she was another mother to me. Like, when I was like a baby up until I was like 6 years old, I was calling her mom in our language. Like, I prefer her to my own mother. That's how close we were. And even after my parents moved to a different place and she had to stay in their childhood home where I wanted to move to, she still visited us, or we'd visit them. And whenever it's my birthday or my grandfather's birthday, because me and my grandfather were just like one day apart in birthdays, she'd make sure to send me the typical Filipino birthday party foods like spaghetti and pancit. And sometimes she'd add something like menudo or something hearty like caldereta. And those were special to me, man. Like, even if my parents did not celebrate my birthday, there was someone that celebrated my birthday for me. And honestly, I don't know why the fuck did I think I was alone for a long time and I had her. I guess in that moment, all that I could think of, that there's nothing left under my feet, but there was still her. And when I... Oh fuck, I dropped something. And when I went to her, she was the one who convinced me to stay with my parents. Not that because I'd be a burden to her, but because she wants children to have a good relationship with her parents, and it was just like that. Like, even if my parents hurt me, like, there was still love there, and I really appreciate her for it because she was one of the few adults in my life that made me feel like I'm worth it. That I'm myself that exists is worth as a person. And that's special to me because for a long time I didn't feel like I was worth anyone's time, you know? That's what being a Jehovah's Witness does to you. So yeah, things were really painful for a long time. I mean, it still is painful. Like, I already stopped myself from crying earlier and now I'm about to cry again. But anyway. Oh. So yeah, that's where we are now. But even if my parents were very discouraging towards my hobbies, I still loved the things I love. Like, I still loved anime, even if, like, at that point in time, 2012-ish, up until 2015, Naruto was still updating. I was still following the story of a boy who was marginalized by his community, who had to live in an oppressive system that treats him less like a person and more like a weapon, and that he basically had no one except for a couple of adults in his life, like that old man Teuchi, and eventually Iruka, and then eventually Team 7. Like, that story was dear to me, even if, like, people were slowly saying, like, oh no, Naruto's falling off, or that Kishimoto dropped the ball because they're slowly turning into Dragon Ball characters, and I've come full circle. I stopped liking Dragon Balls because of the ridiculous power levels, and now Naruto's following in its footsteps. Like, how the fuck, man? Are you kidding me? And when Naruto ended, I was like, boo! I do not like this story anymore. Why were they fighting a moon goddess? This isn't my show. This isn't about ninjas anymore. This turned into a fucking human versus alien story. But yeah, when Naruto ended in 2015, by that point, I only vaguely know of the story. And so I didn't know Madara came back to life. I didn't know Obito was the other villain. Like, I had no fucking idea. And I would still look up a couple of Naruto stories every now and then, but otherwise, I didn't know the full details of how the war arc went. Only that there was a moon goddess. And I got into other anime after that, basically. Funny thing, I remember when Yuri on Ice first aired, and that was in my first job. And whenever I'd come home from work, I'm uh constantly on a morally dubious site, waiting for the latest subbed episode. By the way, I worked in call centers, so I'd go to work at 7 or 8 p.m., then come back home at 5 a.m., and that's usually when episodes are released. So when Yuri and Ice came out, and then that fucking episode aired where Yuri and Katsuki basically quote unquote hug, but it's actually a censored kiss. I was losing my mind. I woke up my family from all my screaming. I was screaming, and they woke up and they were like, "What the hell's happening?" And I'm like, "Oh no, no, it's just an anime I'm watching. I'm just not telling them that I was watching gay boys kissing." That the interest I had in high school was the same interest I had as an adult. I think I was 22 when Yuri on Ice came out. I was also 22 when I discovered I was chronically ill. Anyway, and then after Yuri on Ice, I was like on the hunt for new anime or new media to consume, and then My Hero Academia came out, and I was like, holy shit, this shit is peak. And for a long time I was very much in love with My Hero Academia. Not to Okay, I will brag. I probably wrote one of the biggest fan fiction ever. Well, okay, biggest is sort of a misnomer. I would say back in 2017, I published one of the most popular Bakugo Katsuki slash Midoriya Izuku humor fluff crack fan fiction to have been published at the time. Like, if you try to look of Not With Those Shoulders, Darling by Disney Princess Izuku, or as I'm known now, Ren Kyle, it's still pretty big, I'd like to think. Like, back in the old days, it used to be in like one of the most kudos fanfiction. Nowadays, I'm not so sure. There's a lot of trauma associated with that fanfiction outside of my fandom life, I guess. Basically, I was writing it during a very tumultuous time in my life, and it's been on hiatus for a long time. I really could not get back to writing it. And since the anime and manga were still ongoing, I couldn't continue writing, not until the ending is there, because vaguely in my mind I had an idea of how it's supposed to end, and the manga was just going in directions I did not expect, so I just lost interest. And then I did finish it, but there's a lot of trauma attached to it, basically. And then I started jumping to and fro in between fandoms, mostly Star Wars. Um, what was the other thing? And then I got into Baldur's Gate. And then just this recently, I also got into Jujutsu Kaisen. And then at some point, I was like, yeah, I think I kind of want to reread some old Naruto fanfics because, of course, Naruto has a special place in my heart because it's one of the animes that basically clued me in that I was in a cult. It's the anime in which the fandom introduced me to queer concepts. So I started looking up a bunch of Naruto fanfiction, and I was like, wait, why the hell is Obito a character in some of this fanfiction? Why the fuck is he important? And then I find out that Toby was Obito all along, which was what people were already speculating back when I was a teenager. And of course, I was like, okay, I'll just go rewatch Naruto so that I have some context into why he's important to Kakashi and why the hell is Kakashi so important to the entire thing. And then I started rewatching all of Kakashi Gaiden and all of the episodes where Obito was in, even the fillers. And from that on, I was like, holy shit, starting from relating to Naruto, I was now relating to Kakashi. Like, look at that. Look at him go. That's my PTSD man right there. He's so sad and tragic, man. All his life, all he's done has been following orders. People have been making decisions for him before he realizes it. He didn't have an independent thought in his head. He's just following orders, man. And then he loses people important to him, and then he realizes the value of human connection. And man, that's my boy right there. And then I got back into Naruto, and here we are. So that's basically me. And if you've been here from the start, thanks for hanging out and finding out more about my life in this endless stream of consciousness. So, if you were here and you didn't listen from the start, it's my life starting from as a wee babe born in the Jehovah's Witness cult, and then discovering the wonders of boys kissing each other, which led me to stop believing in the cult. And my favorite pairing is Kakashi and Obito. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye! Hey, thank you so much for watching! If you want to see more stuff from my life as an anime artist thing person, why not like and subscribe? Leave a comment. Send this story to whoever you know that likes Naruto. Or if you want to support me in other ways, I have a coffee. Should I make a Patreon? I don't fucking know, but any engagement will help. And if I get viral, I'd probably make more videos like this. Maybe go to my socials, like my art, spread the word, make me go viral. It's not every day you find a queer, non-binary, AFAB, anime drawing, ex-Jehovah's Witness, YouTuber, or whatever. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next